Coastal Carolina's kicking off the 2025 College World Series. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, we'll get to the other side of the bracket, Louisville and Oregon State, here in a minute. And I do like the way the bracket lines up for Coastal Carolina. Also, please subscribe to the podcast. Don't forget about those audio downloads as well. You can do it when you're driving. You can do it while you're cleaning up. You can do it while you're taking a walk around the neighborhood and working out. Spotify and Apple Podcasts seem to be the most popular, so I do appreciate it. All right. I do not know at the time of this recording who is pitching on Friday. We're taking a very educated guess at this. And I'm going with Cam Flukey versus Owen Kramkowski as Coastal Carolina and Arizona are opening up the 2025 College World Series, 2 p.m. Eastern Time in Conway, 1 p.m. Central Time in Arizona. Now, Clinton Yates, who does a show out in L.A., said it was hot in Nebraska in the 80s. It can be a little bit hotter on the surface, I guess. I don't know if it's turf or grass, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as hot as it was in Auburn. Maybe a little more toastier than it was a couple of weeks ago in Conway for the regional. But I don't think it's going to be nearly as hot and humid as it was in Auburn. Also, it is expected to be a little bit of a breeze, 10 to 15 miles per hour. What direction it's going in, I don't know in terms of it's blowing out. I don't know that yet. But just the way they have not moved up Jacob Morrison since the end of the season, I just think they're not going to move him up. And I do think there's a difference between kind of like a horse and Jacob Morrison is one of the three horses that Coastal Carolina has. There's a difference between 106 pitches pitching in Auburn the way he did and maybe 106 pitches pitching a couple weeks ago when it was cooler weather. All right. And so there's no reason to move him up in this case. And you could have him, in case you do lose, have him for the elimination game. All right, if you do have him. But he pitched 106 pitches in 6 innings in a very hot and humid situation. And they just have not had him on short rest since, period. They put Cam Flukey on Thursday of the final series, and they had Jacob Morrison pitch on Friday. And then in the regional, they had Cam Flukey pitch on Saturday, and then they had Cam Flukey pitch on Saturday against Auburn. And they had Jacob Morrison pitch. He pitched on Friday of the regional, or Saturday the regional, and then Saturday the super regional. Okay, so Cam Flukey, they flip-flopped. And Cam Flukey pitched a lot. He pitched 96 pitches in 5 innings. And so I presume Cam Flukey's going. Owen Kramkowski got lit up. He lost that 18-2 ball game. As we heard David Kelly say, maybe a little bit, I said he was nervous, but wild pitches or hitting batters and walks. And someone commented it was an aberration that he had pitched well this season. Well, no, not really. He had a couple of good outings in the Big 12 championship and the regional, but overall, I mean, he's got a 5.48 ERA. He's 9-6. He's given up more hits than innings pitched, 107 hits in 87 innings. Strikeouts are pretty good, almost a strikeout an inning, 83 strikeouts, 17 walks. I mean, he's got more than 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, so that's pretty good. Batting average against, though, that's 300. That's a lot. All right. When we compare that to, it's 299. When you compare that to Coastal Carolina's 3 guys, let's see this. Let's see if we got batting average against. Jacob Morrison, 195 batting average against. Riley Eikoff, 252 batting average against. Cam Flukey, batting average against 214. Maybe the one big advantage that Coastal has is not speed, it is the pitching. I mean, that's a big difference in terms of who has the advantage on the mound. All right. Cam Flukey has the advantage on the mound. Doesn't mean he's going to win, but they have the advantage. Also, in terms, Owen Kramkowski, again, did not pitch very much. He only went an inning and a third last time out. Certainly gave up a lot, so it didn't, 8 runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, and a strikeout. So he certainly got some work in, but he certainly didn't go very long. So he's ready to go. So again, I presume it'll be Flukey versus Kramkowski, and the advantage has to go to Cam Flukey. And as I saw some Coastal Carolina fans say, hey, you get that first game in under your belt, all of a sudden you can enjoy Friday evening's games and all day Friday and all day Saturday. And then you're not playing until Sunday night because the losers on Friday have to play first on Sunday. So you get a chance to really kind of take a breath in and kind of enjoy it, right? You get to enjoy that College World Series. So that's a big opportunity for Cam Flukey and Coastal Carolina. Again, look for the running game. That's opportunities, and I would take that advantage. Now, here's what I would warn Coastal Carolina, and it's going to be a lot like Auburn. Arizona's not going to go away. This is going to be a 27-out game, maybe even 30, like Auburn was. They're not going to go away. All right. They did not get a good pitching performance in their second ball game, and they won that ball game 10-8, and then they did win a close ball game, low scoring on Sunday. So they're going to keep on coming. They're another team like Auburn that is not used to winning low scoring ball games. They're used to their pitchers giving up a few runs. So they're not going to get scared off if they fall behind. You got to keep on going, keep on scoring those runs, and see if you can spin them out of control. And so that would be the thing that I would press on Coastal Carolina. A nice 2 or 3 run inning isn't going to be the end of the ball game. All right, and we saw that last week against Auburn. 6-1 turned into 6-6 because they stopped scoring. All right, now they won the ball game. We understand that on a Caden Bodine home run, but I mean, they even stopped opportunities. They didn't get anything going in, what was it? Fourth, fifth, whatever it was for the remainder of the ball game. They couldn't get anything going. So you need to keep on adding to it and sort of demoralize them. Either keep on adding runs or you got to put up zeros. That was where it was disappointing. Although he was more economical in his pitches, kept on giving up runs. Instead of 6-1 when it was a weather delay, it was 6-3. Big difference. Although I do think Coastal Carolina is going to win this ball game, and it's going to set themselves up to do well in the College World Series. All right, let's take a look at the other side of the bracket, because it appears to me that these teams have made some adjustments and has flipped their pitchers as well. It is Louisville, where I'm actually located. They play right over there. And I point the same way, over that way. They don't play too far away from where I live, and they're taking on Oregon State. We'll do that right after I tell you about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, let's look at the other side of the bracket because, again, I feel like it's not LSU and Arkansas on the other side. It's Louisville and Oregon State. And again, not to poo-poo that. It is a little bit of a difference. And again, I do believe it. I sincerely believe it. You're in Omaha. You're either hot, really good, or both. And usually these teams are both. Having said that, even Oregon State's made a little bit of a change. Their Friday night starter was Eric Segura. Did not do well against the regional. And I don't know if he got hurt, but went 1/3 of an inning against St. Mary's and gave up 3 runs on 2 base hits and a walk in the 1/3 of an inning, and came in relief on, I believe, Sunday in the Super Regional. So he didn't pitch on Friday of the regional, even though he only pitched 1/3 of an inning in the regional. And he pitched Friday against Long Beach State in the final series of the season. So they moved him back. They did, we can tell you, it was Dax Whitney, who has pitched pretty well. And the other pitcher being Ethan Kleinschmidt, who has pitched pretty well. So it is Dax and Ethan Kleinschmidt. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch. Let's see what the stats are overall for them this year, because they are pretty good. Ethan Kleinschmidt, 8-4 with a 3.54 ERA, only 60 hits in an 86 and a third innings pitch. That's outstanding. Opponents hitting 195 against him. Wow. 106 strikeouts in 86 and a third innings pitched, 33 walks. So that's a good 3-to-1 ratio. Dax Whitney, 3.66 ERA, 6-3, 71 and a third innings pitched. He's got 111 strikeouts, so these guys are bringing it. 36 walks, opponents hitting 221. So one of those two guys is probably going to match up with Jacob Morrison if they both win, all right, or both lose, for that fact of the matter. Eric Segura, oddly enough, maybe he was just making some appearances. He only got 5 starts, 17 appearances, 4.76 ERA. So maybe that was an aberration towards the end of the year. I don't know. But Ethan Kleinschmidt and Dax Whitney are your 1-2 punch guys, and they do pack a punch. I mean, we're looking at almost 160 innings, and we're looking at over 200 strikeouts. So that's going to be a tough matchup and a pitcher's duel between Coastal Carolina, if it happens. And then you do have Louisville, who, again, they seem to change it up. Let me see if I got the numbers right here, because they also changed things up with their guys. Let's see here. On Friday against Miami in a game they won 8-1, they had Patrick Forbes going, but I don't think that was their Friday night starter throughout. Let me see here. Against Wake Forest to end the season, I could be wrong. It was Ethan Eberle. So they did change things up a little bit. All right. Eberle ended up starting the final game of the Super Regional against Miami. So that's nice to have Eberle, your Friday night starter, be on the back end. And so, again, he's not going to pitch for a minute because, well, he could pitch on Sunday. He could absolutely pitch game 2 because that would be regular rest. He's obviously not going to pitch on Friday. So we'll see who Louisville goes with. You could do Patrick Forbes, or let's see who the other pitcher is. It would be, can't be Eberle. Got to go through a couple. Tucker Biven. Some errors led to 5 runs, but only 1 was earned. So that's not obviously on Biven. So Patrick Forbes is probably going to get the nod against Oregon State, and obviously he's going to have to be really good. Against Vanderbilt, he pitched pretty well. Bivin pitched pretty well. 2 runs, 1 earned, 4 2/3 innings against Vanderbilt. And remember, they won that ball game 3-2 over Vandy. And Patrick Forbes has been pretty good as well. So, and then Eberle, and then you get Eberle to pitch against, I guess it could be against, it wouldn't be against Oregon State. It would be against Coastal Carolina. So you do have Oregon State or Louisville has a nice second pitcher to go up against Coastal. That's not where the advantage is for Coastal. That's the thing. It's the next guy. That's where Coastal has a huge advantage. It's really hard to go through this if you lose. You don't want to lose. That's where you have to play an extra game or 2. But Coastal has that third guy. There's not a lot of guys, not a lot of teams that have that third guy. And Coastal does. And that's the thing. So when you're going, the bullpen route for, that third game, can you match up? And obviously, Coastal can. All right. I mean, even Arkansas, right? Even Arkansas's guys, they got a 4.76 ERA and they got a 4.92 ERA, right? LSU has a couple of guys, but do they have their third guy, which has always been the case since I've been following LSU. They always have 2 guys. They never have the third guy. That is why I like the way the bracket lines up for Coastal Carolina. All right. Someone tweeted me just before this. They said it feels a lot like 2016. And as Joe Catanacci, the voice of Coastal, came here on the pod, said it's different. They went along for the ride, kind of surprising everybody, kind of probably got a lot of confidence going into Baton Rouge and winning. I'm sure they got a lot of confidence going into Auburn and winning. I thought they were the better team than Auburn. There are some good pitchers that they're going to have to face throughout. This is not going to be a cakewalk. I'm not saying that. The other side has Cade Anderson, and if LSU wins 3 and Coastal wins 3, there's a good chance that it's going to be Cam Flukey versus Cade Anderson. All right. And so you're going up against the number 1 pitcher in the country. All right. We'll talk about how the bracket lines up when we come back after I thank everybody. All right. We are continuing to grow. Some guys from Coastal Carolina following us. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Spread the word. Would love to have Kevin Schnall on the pod. All right. Please get that word to him. He's got a little bit of time. I understand there's some games going on, but, not playing every day. So we could make time if he can squeeze us into the schedule. So that would be great. But we do think he's going to do well. And obviously, I am the benefactor of Southern Miss playing well and now Coastal Carolina playing well. So it is a big help. I appreciate that. We're still trying to figure out how to get down to the Sunbelt Media Days. That's happening next month. Probably should put in for the days off and can cancel them if I can't make it. But I appreciate all of the support. It is a big help. Please subscribe and like on the YouTube and comments. Any comments that you have is a big help. That gets more people to see it, and I'm the one responding. Also, don't forget about those audio downloads, Apple and Spotify. And again, we're everywhere where you get your podcast from, but those are the most popular. So again, thank you so much. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. And again, said this from the get-go, just like the way the bracket lines up. I do think they caught a break that they're not playing Carolina and Jake Knapp. Jake Knapp, one of the top pitchers in the country. I also think they caught a break to start off with Arizona compared to Oregon State. And We'll see if Louisville does them a favor by beating Oregon State. If you play Oregon State, you're going to get one of those two guys. All right. One of those two, you beat one of those two guys, you're going to have earned it. That's not going to be easy. At the same time, they're going to have to go through Jacob Morrison. And he battled Auburn, and that lineup came around and around eventually. Here's the one thing I would say. Let's compare the numbers, because they pitch a lot, right? So Morrison, he does have one relief appearance. 16 starts, got 96 innings pitched. Let's see the Oregon stats. Because it seemed like low pitching numbers. Well, maybe not. 86 innings pitched. That's not low. Dax Whitney doesn't have that many innings pitched. That's interesting. Very effective. But in 16 starts, he's only got 71 innings pitched. So he really is only going about six. He really is only going about 6 innings. He's not going very long at all. That we can do the math. 16 times 6. Is that 72? Right? Right? 16 times 6. Oh no, that's 96. Well, hold on. Oh, we apparently we can't do the math. 72 divided by 6. Well, that's 12. That's not what I'm looking for. All right. How about 72 divided by 16 is 4.5. So he's barely going 5 innings a pop. Wow. That's not very long. So he's barely going through the lineup twice. That's interesting. So that's Dax Whitney. Ethan Kleinschmidt, he's doing a little bit better. All right. So Kleinschmidt does a little bit better. And, so 86 divided by 16, that's 5 1/3 innings. So that's a little bit better. Oh, but yeah, so that'll be the one thing that we see, because they throw hard. I mean, if you have 111 strikeouts and 71 innings pitched, you're throwing hard. Also, I think that game would be at night compared to during the day if they both win. Interesting. And I just like the way, again, we'll see what happens on the other side. You have no idea. Yeah, I mean, it very easily could end up being, well, who knows what Murray State's going to do, right? They could shock everybody. We could get a Coastal Carolina Murray State best of 3. But what happens if LSU and Arkansas, as I mentioned, it could come back around to Coastal and Arizona again. If LSU beats Arkansas, and then they meet up again, and then Arkansas beats LSU, then I got to play again, and LSU beats Arkansas. Then the pitching is gone, right? A lot of their guys, their bullpen is gone. Cade Anderson will be available because they got to hold him back. He's not going to pitch, but the rest of them is going to be gone. And so, or maybe they do use Cade Anderson. I don't know when that game would be, because Cade's pitching. I'm sure Cade's pitching Friday, right? Cade's pitching Saturday. So Cade's pitching Saturday. So depending on when those last games are, we'll see how that all works out on the other side. I like the way the bracket is lining up for Coastal. It is a little bit different. The expectations are different. And I do think that it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Remember last week, Kevin Schnall did say, being able to host did have an effect on Coastal playing in front of the big raucous crowd that was against them. They won't have the raucous crowd against them until they face an LSU. This has been an LSU party for the better part of 30 years, 35 years. So they won't have to worry about that until later on. And I'm sure Coastal fans are traveling. Arkansas fans are some of the closest fans there. There'll be plenty of Coastal fans there. All right. Probably more than Arizona fans, but it'll be interesting to see if they do fall behind a little bit. And they didn't against Auburn when they were down 1-0. They didn't panic. when it didn't look great when they left the bases loaded and nobody out and couldn't score. Had runners on at first and second the next inning and could not score. And finally, they broke through. If they do start to make a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes, I think it's going to go the other way. I think we'll see if Kramkowski gets nervous, if he's the one going, if Kramkowski gets nervous, if they do start stealing bases. All right. And I think this is going to be a coastal ball game, and we'll see who they play on Sunday. Let's see why we got at it. I don't know what the odds are for this ball game, because how often do we think Coastal Carolina? I mean, they're going to be always a favorite in the Sun Belt, but how often do we think they're going to be favored here? And they're a pretty healthy favorite. They're minus 265 compared to Arizona, a plus 200. So they're a pretty healthy favorite. That doesn't happen too often to Coastal Carolina going up against a Big 12 opponent, but they should be. They should be favored, and rightfully so. So the slight pressure is on them. Arizona's playing with house money. I don't know if they're just happy to be there. I don't think they're going to play like that. But I also believe they're going to play with that kind of reckless abandon that has gotten them there. They made adjustments late in the season. They're going to keep on coming with that lineup. It is going to be a 27-30 out ball game, whatever the case poses. And I think Coastal Carolina has to keep on going. You know, we there's no run rule. Blow them out. All right, demoralize them throughout, and keep on putting up those runs, because that Arizona lineup will keep on coming back. All right, so I think it'll be going to be. I think Cam Flukey is going to pitch incredibly well. It could be, we've seen a Walker Mitchell be a hero so far in the postseason. We've seen a Colby Thorndike be a hero. We've seen Blake Barthol be a hero defensively. Who will be the hero? Who steps up? Cade Bodine hit a game-winning home run. So it hasn't been just one, right? And Flukey and Morrison both pitched well. Hayden Johnson pitched well. Good job getting his name right this time. You're welcome. So it has been up and down the lineup, and we'll see if we can get some stolen bases if the opportunity presents itself. I mean, if they're just hitting home runs and no stolen bases, but that's not the kind of team they are. They like to manufacture and generate runs on the base pass. So that's what I am looking forward to seeing tomorrow. I'm actually working late tomorrow. We have extra hours, and I'm giving a tour at 4. So maybe in between pours, I can say, oh, we have an update. Coastal Carolina leads Arizona. Probably will not be doing that, but I can, as soon as I'm done with the tour, the game may be over. The game may be over. Tour starts at 4. I'm done at 5:15. So 5:20. So we'll come back home, watch a replay of the game, and then, can do a full podcast episode when I'm done. We'll do a quick recap, tell you what happened. Although you guys will know better than me. No. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing the games. I am off Sunday. They play Sunday night, we hope. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a great week previewing the Sun Belt into the College World Series. Thanks to David Kelly hopping on. Thanks to Joe Catanacci for hopping on. Thanks for you for listening as well and watching. All right. You've been watching and listening to Locked On Sun Belt, your teams every day. Have a great weekend, everybody, and enjoy the baseball.